You are now watching The Lone Blown. Blown! Yo, what's poppin' YouTube? Welcome back to The Lone Blown. Today I'm going to be going over my Losers Round 5 game of the Players' Cup 2 Global Finals against Renzo Z. So Renzo is playing the ADP deck. For those of you who maybe watched the game before, I actually played against Renzo. They're the ones who sent me to the losers bracket. So for me, I was like, ooh, it's time to get some revenge. It should be super fun. We all have our travel awards at this point. So I mean, it should be a little bit of a friendly match to determine who's going to become the Players Cup 2 champion, move on to the losers finals. So lots of cool stuff going on there. I mean, it's an exciting game, back and forth. So of course, I want to showcase exactly where I played right, where maybe I could have made a different play, things like that. Just kind of give you some cool gameplay, especially at the highest level of the game. So we'll check out the games right now. Check that out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe right there. Let's do it. Let's try to get to 1,000 subs. And you want to what? Let's jump into the game right now. So here I am in a rematch to Renzo, actually the only person that I've lost to in the Players' Cup to this point. And with it being a single elimination event, we've actually this decides who's going to move on to the losers bracket, while Hugo and Brent play to see who advances on to the winners bracket. So for me, in order to make the grand finals of the Players' Cup at this point, I need to defeat Renzo, play against the winner between Hugo and Brent, which ended up being Hugo, to advance on to the grand finals. Now, you know the story of me making it all the way there. I was able to win. It did happen well over a month ago at this point. And for me, I'm just like, okay, let's see how it goes. Here I'm like, do I want to see if I can play Crobat to draw a card? Anything like that? How am I going to make this happen? And I'm actually not too upset here. I got a lot of like decent stuff. I'm like, what should I be grabbing? I'm not sure. At this point, the fact that I'm using the Quick Ball means that I'm going to have to grab a Crobat, a Dedenne, something like that. Honestly, I think that this was a mistake on my behalf. I probably should have just held on to it. A couple friends and I, we were like, keep your resources whenever we're playtesting nowadays. And looking back on this vid, I'm like, why did I do that? I already would have had the energies. I could have had an explosive turn next turn with more options, being able to search out Eldegoss, being able to search out Dedenne. But you want to what? I am getting a turn 1 powered up Raichu. My opponent has no energies in play. So how can I actually be upset ever here? They're going to have to get an energy here. I got double crushing hammers. Not entirely sure if my opponent's playing Marnie in their list. It's one of those things with ADP lists. They all start to look a little bit fishy. But they did discard quite a few switch, which is great, especially when I'm going with such an early tandem shock strategy. And then they're going retreat into the ADP, another double metal saucers. And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Cool, let's deal with it. At this point, I really don't know what my opponent's searching for besides an energy switch. I think they've already discarded one as well. But obviously, it's one of those things where Renzo, being one of the greater players in the game, definitely knows what they're doing, especially to get this far with their ADP deck. You can often say a lot of players can get here randomly, and there are some players who aren't as successful as other players. But for a player to make it into a top 4 of a travel award, they have to be fairly successful. And that top deck of the research, I honestly remember that moment. I was like, whoa, just getting a supporter definitely feels pretty good to put me in the right direction. And here I'm like, yeah, let's go for the switch. The Tandem Shock here seems like it's going to be pretty good. Crushing Hammers, I don't see any reason why not to go for this. I'm like, do I want to discard the energy? At least I'm going to get the energy with the Tapu Koko. I was just like holding it, thinking if I want to get the resources. But here we go. Me getting the energies on the Raichu. I got some decent options here. And that part's really cool. Just different, like this is a great turn 2. And I'm just like, you want to, let's just hurry up. I think I'm just going to go Tandem Shock. I'm debating if I want to go for the Tapu Koko. I don't think my opponent's going to actually ever attack in a Tapu Koko. And then there's the Tandem Shock. Let's just see how it goes. My opponent has not used their GX attack. They've used 2 switch. I took away their water energy, so they'd have to get water energy, metal energy, or energy switch to the metal energy, and a switch. But they do play Crushing Hammer, which can be quite annoying at times to deal with. So that's one thing to definitely consider. Crushing Hammers can kind of take a game. And with the Tapu Koko being there, I already have the air balloon in my hand. I'm like, cool, let's just vibe out here. Everything's pretty good. And I might as well discard some things, get some other Pokemon powered up. And at this point, I'm like, yeah, you want to know what? I don't even need the PikaRom. I just want to discard the PikaRom so I can grab a Mewtwo and Mew GX, having more HP than the PikaRom. So I can attach the energy to the Mewtwo. And I have the air balloon. I don't know why I went for that. Maybe I'm just like, I don't really need to attack with Boltons. I probably also didn't need to play the Mawile, but my opponent does play, or I didn't have to play the Dedenne GX, but I do need to worry about the Mawile. So that's why I decided to play it. It's incorrect to play the Dedenne there, but my opponent does play Mawile in their deck, so it is correct. I don't want to be optionless. So there's my energies all in play. I have 3 Pokemon fully powered up. There's 7 energies in play, so I'm starting in the knocking out the Zacian territory, which is quite powerful if you ask me. Like, there's nothing going wrong with this game at all. This is actually quite a perfect game for PikaRom if you've ever been able to see one. So they're going to go for the knockout on the Bolton, and the reason why is because the Bolton can knock out the Zacian. That's really where things get a little bit huge here. And I'm like, cool, I'm just going to send up Mewtwo. Mewtwo here sounds really good because I can attach an energy to this Pokemon. I can go Marnie. And the reason why I'm going Marnie is because I want to put those 2 lightning energies back on top of my deck. Or at the bottom of my deck, because I can search them out with full Blitz. I can go Crushing Hammer. I can take the energy off the bench. So now, even if my opponent's able to go Air Balloon, or anything like that, my opponent can just vibe out. They don't have the energies on the bench. They're not just searching for a single energy attachment. They're looking for a lot more. So the strategy that I've kind of deployed in this match is just kind of force my opponent into doing more things to a certain point where something is going to miss. If there's anything to take from watching these videos, keep on throwing obstacles at your opponent because at some point they're going to stumble. Not every single opponent has everything every single game. And that's really where it gets huge. So, there's a switch. And you can see, I just kind of have another turn, and I have the Well Played here. I don't know why they sent up the Crobat, because the Crobat just naturally allows me to win the game. But maybe my opponent's like, yeah, Zach got it anyways. Who cares? Maybe we'll just hope that he forgets about Tag Bolt GX, which is definitely a possibility. So here, my opponent's going to make me go first, which is fine. And here I'm like, ugh, I have to start with Crobats. It's fine. I'm going to get an energy off on my first turn, and Marnie seems to be the best Pokemon for me to just power up. Or Marnie seems to be the best card for me to discard. You can see every single game of the Players' Cup, I am accurately going through my prize cards. I know this video is sped up at a 2x speed, but I'm actively just going through my prize cards every single time. And it's tough, because you want to make sure you know what resources you're dealing with in each particular matchup. Here, I'm just going to grab the Bolton. The reason why I'm grabbing a Bolton is because I don't want to put a PikaRom in this matchup down. The PikaRom can get knocked out by a Brave Blade off of Zacian. It will also allow me to draw cards. So maybe I could have put Raichu down. I don't actually remember if Raichu is in my prize cards there as I'm re-looking through this. I don't know if Raichu is in there. Let me know if you miss it, if I'm missing it in the comments below. If Raichu was in there, Raichu probably would have been the better choice. But my opponent's going to go Marnie. We'll see exactly what cards I draw from my hands. And here I'm like, Yoda, that's not bad. I'm probably going to end up losing a reset stamp. But at least I got a research. It's always good to have a support or an option after your opponent Marnies you. Because quite often I feel like nowadays, my opponent goes Marnie against me and I'm just absolutely getting bopped. So there's a Big Charm. The Big Charm's not going to matter at all in this matchup. I go 150 plus 160, 310. 280 plus 30 is 310. So I'm two-shotting that Pokemon anyway. I would think that it's better to put it on the Zacian, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't think the Big Charms particularly matter too much in this matchup. And my opponent is not getting off the ADP this turn, which is fantastic news for myself. So I'm like, they have more than 6 cards. Let's go ahead, reset stamp them. Always pay attention to your surroundings, kind of. I always like to compare a lot of Pokemon to traffic. Look both ways before you cross the street. Sometimes you're going to get smoked by a car. If I did not look at my opponent's hand there, they would just have more cards in hand. And that is not a good thing to have. I'd rather have my opponent have a lesser card hand. They have less options. The less options you have, the less opportunities you have. It doesn't mean reset stamp's always the correct play. You got to use knowledge on what you've gained throughout the game to decide whether or not, but my opponent just used Intrepid Sword. It's a pretty blind hand. I can't be determined if it would have been good or not, but my opponent looks like they're actually just going to forego all kind of measures of using the ADP's GX attack. To me, that seems exactly how it's going to work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go with my Mewtwo. I think that sounds fine. We're going to see what's going on here. Might as well just Marnie, see what's popping. Maybe power up this Mewtwo. I might as well just go for like full blitz. The full blitz part is like, okay, cool, I can get another Pokemon powered up. I don't necessarily think my opponent's going to go after the Crobat this game, just with kind of how weak the setup's been. But now they're just like switching things up, and it seems like they're trying to go for the ADP GX attack, something that I really just wasn't expecting. And my opponent getting the Crushing Hammerheads there probably doesn't matter too much. The fact that they're going to hit for 220 probably doesn't matter at this point. They kind of have to spend 4 more turns in this game and kind of struggle to get their energies, where I'm just kind of vibing here. And I'm just probably going to attach the Lightning Energy. Oh, I'm going to go on the Mewtwo. I don't know why I particularly went on the Mewtwo. To me, I think that that's... I probably should have just went on the Raichu and got the knockout there. Maybe I was just trying to... Maybe I wasn't expecting my opponent to get a response. There's probably a few more Metal Saucers than what I'm looking at now that are in the discard pile. Or maybe I wasn't expecting my opponent to get it. So, I'm shutting off my opponent from their Altered Creation GX attack. I don't necessarily want them to just be able to knock out the Mewtwo and Mew with just after an ADP. So I don't want it to turn into a 2-turn game. I want them to have 3 turns left in the game. I do need that many turns left. And at this point, I'm like, do I decide to go all in with it? What am I trying to do here? There's the PikaRom. And at this point, it seems like I'm just going all in. But there's no energies left, so I just gotta kind of vibe out. Maybe my opponent already played Mawile down. This game's quite odd. If I honestly, like, if I could say anything about my play, I think my play is, like, odd this game. I don't necessarily think I would have made it, but again, I do want to let everyone know that, like, this tournament started, like, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get ready. I think play started at, like, 7 with a 6 a.m. check-in or something like that. I could be remembering incorrectly. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, it is what it is. Sometimes the play is just going to happen like that. So I know for sure that there was no boss in my discard pile, because otherwise I would have tried to take out that Intrepid Sword Pokemon. And here I'm just like, okay, cool. Let's go switch into the Crobats, and I can start getting some of my energies back. So let's power up the Mewtwo. And since there's no big charm on that Zacian, I mean, not that the Zacian would even matter, I can just hit with Raichu, Alolan Raichu's GX attack. I mean, I'm just trying to waste cards out of my deck, just to waste cards out of my deck. My opponents use a lot of resources, a lot of energies this game, not to the greatest effect. And I could just send up a free retreating Pokemon here. I don't see any reason why not to send up the Crobat at this point. I don't know why I sent up the Raichu, to be honest there. Maybe I was just worried about what my opponent could or couldn't do. So the Crushing Hammer is pretty huge there. Maybe I just didn't want to give them a prize card. But there's my opponent with the double Metal Saucer. Kind of jaw-dropping. See exactly how this pops up here. Third energy. I think this allowed me to tank a hit. There's the air balloon. The air balloon part's fairly nice. I do want to take care of the Vicavolts, because there's just no need for me to have any of these cards in my deck. I have no more Dedennes. I have no more anything. I don't even know if there's a point for me to put the Bolton down. Really. Maybe I drew some energies off my prize cards. Was that what I was thinking of? So, like, I could go full blitz. Yeah, I did get energies off my prize cards. I probably shouldn't have just put the Bolton down. I think I was trying to, like, I was worried about Reset Stamp or Marnie or something like that. This is really one of those things where it's just like, how am I going to kind of win this game? Does my opponent have like a switch boss? So there's the speed lightning. At least I could draw some cards. And I just top decked the boss. Like, I was ready to go game 3, but I was just able to win here. So we'll take those. Rematch against Renzo where it mattered. Got a little bit lucky. We take those. Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit lucky. Top decking boss for game there was huge. I mean, I guess my chances were not that bad to get it. I was fully prepared to go game 3, but you want to know what? I felt like I got a little bit unlucky against Renzo before. Maybe this is kind of the equilibrium balancing itself out. Sometimes Pokemon's going to be decided by a top deck, and there's nothing that I can do about it. I mean, I had to top deck some card. Maybe boss wasn't the most favored card, but I did have quite a few bosses in my deck along with Speed Lightning. Maybe I should have played that game a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Not every single Pokemon player is perfect, and sometimes making the non-ideal plays can lead you down a path of success. And it seems like I made a couple mistakes, or maybe a couple questionable plays that were in the moment, but I did end up taking the game, getting a little bit lucky at the end there. So we take that, and I mean, moving on to the losers finals. So stay tuned for that video if you've been enjoying this series. And if you've been enjoying the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're trying so hard to get to 1,000 subs at the time of creation of this video. So that being said, I do have to create some more content, everyone. So I appreciate all of y'all watching up until this point. So stay tuned till next time. Lone Blonde out. Peace out. Have a great one. Really hope that you enjoyed watching that video. I totally enjoyed making it. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like the video, share the video with everyone that you know, and subscribe to the channel as well. Totally appreciate all the support. We got a lot of cool things happening on the channel, so stay tuned for more. Be sure to check out the social links in the description. Thanks and have yourself a great one.